Hi guys, it's Tara and welcome back to Crafting with Curly Cues. Today I've got a close to my heart edition for you guys and I'm going to be doing some layered stamping using my MISTI tool. So layered stamping is totally hot right now and I love it because it's really easy and makes everything look awesome. So you can see I've got these big solid stamps and then the lined stamps to go over the top of them. So it really makes it look like you are super professional and you don't really have to try that hard because the stamp set does all the work for you, which is awesome. So I'm going to use my MISTI tool for this because it just is going to make everything that much easier and let me stamp images twice and do really awesome positioning. So I just thought this was going to be a fun opportunity to bust out my MISTI. I don't use it nearly often enough and I'm trying to make it a point to get it out and use it as much as I can. So I'm starting with this big daisy since that's the biggest stamp in my set, and you're going to start with the solid stamp that's there. And I'm just going to go ahead and use some ink from Close to My Heart. I don't remember exactly what color this is, but all the colors are listed down below as well as over at my blog if you're interested in those. But this is obviously yellow of some sort. But you could see once I was done, I cleaned that off with my Lawn Fawn stamp chamois. It's awesome, let me tell you. And then I'm going to reposition it and just stamp it again. So I am going to basically create my own piece of patterned paper for the front of my card here. So I'm just going to repeat this process over and over and over again until this paper is full of this beautiful, bright springtime pattern. So this card is for a gal at work who has gotten a position with a different state agency, so she's going to be leaving us. So it's good for her because it's a great position, but it's sad for us because her smiling face is such a inspiration and brings so much joy for all of us every day. So I really wanted to make a bright, cheerful, fun card to match her bright, cheerful personality. So that was kind of where I got the inspiration for this card today. So I'm doing the same thing with the leaves, and you could take this an extra step and mask off those flowers and then put the leaves kind of behind them. But I didn't want to do all the work of cutting out those masks, so I just kind of made everything not overlap. Or if it did a little bit, like you can see that one there on the side is kind of overlapping a tiny bit, I just didn't stress about it. So now I'm going to take the other flower in the set, kind of this little pansy looking flower, and I'm going to stamp that in some pink and then some kind of sorbet color also. And I'm just going to repeat this process all over the front of the card. So I'm not going to bore you with all of it. I'll go ahead and flash forward here so that you can see what it looks like when it's all done. And I'm also putting the stamp set comes with some little centers to put in the flowers. So I keep talking about this stamp set and I wanted to let you guys know, I apologize. This stamp set is no longer available from Close to My Heart. But what I've done down below as well as over at my blog is linked to the current layering stamp set that they have. They've got another beautiful one that's got a bunch of flowers with the outlines. So I linked to that one instead since you can no longer get this one through Close to My Heart. So same concept, just the flowers are a little bit different. So I just wanted to let you know that. And also, if you've been interested in any of these Close to My Heart stamp sets, now is the time to hop over to my website and snag those because during the entire month of March, you get buy two, get one free on all stamp sets. So any stamp set you like, you just pick two and you get your third one of equal or lesser value free. So it's a good time to stock up. So if you're interested, hop on over there and check that out. So now what I'm doing is I'm coming back in with all of the outline stamps for these images, and I'm going to put as many as I can on there at once. Here's another awesome advantage of the MISTI is I can do all of this at once. And I'm going to ink those up with some VersaFine Black Onyx ink. And you saw before I did this, I used my powder bag to go over that entire pattern and put some powder on there so it wouldn't be staticky because I'm going to go ahead and go over this black ink with some clear embossing powder. So the pigment ink stays wet a bit longer, so it allows me the time that I need to take my Simon Says Stamp clear embossing powder here and go ahead and sprinkle it over the top of this black stamping that I've just done. So what this is going to do is add some dimension and shine and texture to my background paper that I'm creating. So I just thought it was something a little extra. You absolutely wouldn't have to do this step. You could stamp it in just plain black, or you could stamp it in a darker coordinating color, whatever you wanted to do. But I just wanted to kind of do this to add just a little something extra to the paper so that it shimmers and shines when you twist it in the light there. So I went ahead and did that whole front with the black outlines, the same as I did the solid, and now I'm going to work on my sentiment. So I've turned my MISTI the other way, super versatile tool, and I'm using this block uppercase stamp set from Close to My Heart. This stamp set is still available, so if you like this font, head over there. It's a really affordable set, and I think it's a super fun little font that you can build your own sentiments with. And I am going to create the sentiment Best Wishes, and I am going to stamp that in some Versamark ink on top of this black cardstock, and I am going to heat emboss that with some white embossing powder to add some contrast to the background. So again, MISTI rocks because I can set up my word there and then go ahead and pick up the whole thing at once, ink that up with my Versamark, which is becoming, oh, I'm going to do my staticky bag first so that I don't get any stray powder there. But look at my Versamark pad, it's getting kind of nasty. I do have a new one, but they're both in the same box, so I just grab whichever one I grab. It still works totally fine. It just looks really, really grody. I probably should get rid of that one, but if it still works, I mean, why not? So I went ahead and used my Ranger Superfine White Detail Embossing Powder, heat embossed that off camera, and now I'm going to go ahead and put the next word on there. So I'm kind of doing this one word at a time. These letters are small enough that I felt like I could squish them close enough together all at once to be able to stamp it one at a time. If you wanted your letters closer together, you could just stamp one at a time, and then you don't have to allow room for the extra kind of clear stuff that's around the letter on the stamp. So you can see the stamps were sticking to my fingers, and every time I tried to move my finger away, it would move the letter and it would get all crooked and it was driving me bonkers. So I had to use that paintbrush to kind of help me. So this stamp set does only have one of each letter, which is kind of a bummer, but I was able to do most of what I wanted to do. I only needed an extra S, so I went ahead and stamped Wishy, and now I'm going to clean them off and place that S at the end of this sentiment and then just restamp it so that I get the full sentiment that I'm after. So it actually worked out with what I wanted to say, that I didn't have too many duplicate letters, so I didn't have to worry about this, and it was nice that it was at the very end, so I didn't have to worry about spacing out. But if you were, like, say you were putting a word that needed, like the word here, and you needed two E's, you could block out the middle with a different letter and just to hold the space and then go back in and stamp it. So that's just one way to kind of get around some of these alphabet stamp sets that maybe only have one of each. So now that I've got everything ready, I'm going to go ahead and work on my layout, and I'm taking my Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle dies, and I'm going to go ahead and position this on the front of that pattern paper that I created, and I'm going to cut out a rectangle that is slightly smaller than an A2 card base so that I'm going to be able to have a border around it. You can see how pretty the clear embossing is. It's like shining in the light. I dig it. So my original plan was to use this green paper, but I decided that wasn't enough contrast, so I busted back out my Lawn Fawn Let's Polka in the Meadow paper pack. It's so pretty. And I picked this, what I thought was black paper, but when you put it next to the black, it's actually more like a charcoal gray, like it's a dark gray, and it's got these little itty bitty polka dots that I thought were just super cute and made this fun springtime card kind of whimsical and playful. So I really love that border around it. I think it makes the pattern paper really pop. And then when I add my black sentiment, it really just, it makes it really classy, I think. So now I'm going to use my paper trimmer, and I'm going to trim out my sentiment from this black piece of paper, and then I'm going to cut the edge to make just kind of a slanted end. And now I'm just going to put my card together, and this one comes together super simple. It's a nice, easy layout. I'm just going to use my ATG gun to make sure I get lots of stickum on the back there, and I'm going to place that on the front of my card. I like to line it up with the fold because you can correct any other side except for the fold, so always make sure that's right. And then as you can see here, you can go ahead and trim up if you need to any of the other sides. So that's just a tip that I like to use when you're doing a full front piece of pattern paper on the front of your card or something like that. I'm going to go ahead and put this pattern paper that I created directly on top of that polka dot paper and leave that little border all the way around. I think that's so stinking cute. And then for my sentiment, I left this way long on purpose because I wanted to get it on my card and then trim it up, as opposed to trim it and then realize it was too short or something. So I'm just going to use some foam squares that I have in my stash and just place a bunch of those along the back of this strip. I'm kind of checking the front to see if I think I have enough foam squares on there yet. And then I'm going to peel all those off and stick it to the front. I hate peeling the backs off foam squares, so just a little personal tidbit about me. And I'm just going to place that kind of in the lower half of the card and just stick that right on there. I'll flip it over and trim that sentiment strip so it's nice and flush with the end of that card. And you could absolutely be done at this point, but I had to keep going because I love me some embellishments. So I'm going to use my micro glue dots, and I'm going to use some Pretty Pink Posh onyx sequins, and these are the 4mm and the 6mm. These sequins are super cool because they are matte, so there's no shine on these sequins at all, which I think is awesome. I love to kind of tuck my sequins up underneath like sentiment banners. I don't know, for some reason I just love the peekaboo sequins, so that is something fun that I like to do. So these bad boys here, these are the Bitty Sparkles from Close to My Heart, and I'm telling you, I have never seen a smaller rhinestone than these Bitty Sparkles. Like, they fit perfectly in the middle of these sequins, even those 4mm sequins. So they're pretty cool. I've linked to those on my blog and down below as well. So I added a little bit of Wink of Stella to finish it up, and this card is ready to roll. So there is a nice close-up. You can see how cool that layered stamping turns out with very little effort, and it's very whimsical, and it just looks awesome. So thank you guys so much for stopping by. I've listed all the supplies below and over at my blog. If you like this video, go ahead and hit subscribe, leave me a comment. There's all kinds of crafty inspiration in the description box below, and you can join me on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. Thanks. Bye.